Um, So the coolest thing is, hey y'all, man, let me tell you about when you learn something new and you tend to learn how to do it quickly. Let me tell you about adapting just in life, whether you are a regular person going through the day to day or you are a business owner. One thing you must do in life is know how to adapt, know how to pivot, know how to change within times just to be able to say, hey, life hit me with something, but I was able to really get to that next step. So, slight plug. Okay, so I got a new sweater, right? And the new sweater is like humble hustle because what I learned about life is that sometimes we have to go, hustle, get to that next step. But then what it really comes down to is that if you go too hard, not necessarily if you go too hard, but how many people know that if you boast too hard, people start being haters? If you talk about so many of your accomplishments, some people, instead of them congratulating you, they sit up here and try and figure out how they can one up you, or they say, ain't nobody got time for that, and then they come get you. I saw a meme yesterday, and it was a dude with like a black mask on sitting in his bed. And he like waiting for my next door neighbor to come up on their income taxes. Just imagine working all year long and then somebody catch you slipping to the point where now it's an issue. So, what I learned about life is that life is filled with, don't mind me, just parenting. So, one thing I learned about life is filled with ups and downs. And when it's filled with its ups and downs, what I learned is that it's levels to this. Real life, levels to just ownership, levels to adulthood. Just because you turn 18 does not mean you're an adult. Just because you are 20, 30, 40 does not mean that you have to reach certain life goals or do certain things just to be able to say that you are accomplished at this point in time in your life. At the end of the day, there are straight up levels to this. And when we talk about levels, we're talking about going from survival to stability. Being able to say, hey, I am no longer living in that apartment where it ain't nothing on the floor but a mattress. It's being able to say, hey, I'm no longer living in my car. I'm no longer in that bad situation. I at least have some kind of income coming in, whether that is a business income or that is a um standard income from like a regular job or whatever it is that you kind of got going on, but at least you're stable to say that you're not constantly having to ask friends or the government for help. Because at the end of the day, I feel like everybody wants to be stable. Nobody wants to have to think about, oh, what happens if I don't have a roof over my head? What happens if I can't feed myself or my family? What happens if I can't save up enough or budget enough? Like, let's break it down once. Sometimes there's no such thing as budgeting any more than you can already budget. Some people have already wrote out their plans, already written out their goals, already did the roundup, already got the envelopes, putting into the folders to being able to save that money. Sometimes you get to a point where the only way for you to get ahead is to make more money. For you to feel successful in life, this means you can go to the grocery store and you're not worried about what you put in the cart. This means you can go to the store and you're not really worried about the price tag. This means you can get the education for you and your family. If that is something that you value, you can do it and you're not upset about investing in your children's future or investing in your own future. For instance, if you are thinking about getting another job or going to school right now, just think both of those are going to require an investment in order to be successful. If you get that job that requires time, training, and the ability to get there and even do that job and or like those people at that job. If it is to be at school, this means you are doing paper, homework, you're doing something to go ahead and get to that next level of being successful. Hey, you guys, if you have not met me yet, I am Stephanie Stewart, Educate to Own on all major platforms. Go ahead and go find me, go follow me, and go ahead and let's really dive into this next information just to be able to figure out how to get through the levels of life. Because if you learn anything from me, it's going to be my experiences that I learned through life and how to help you guys avoid those downfalls or really avoid those downhills, because it's like if I can teach you or tell you, hey, there's a tunnel at the end, there is a cliff at the end. I'd rather tell you so you can change your direction than to straight up just go off and you say nobody ever told you. So let today mark, this is the day that Stephanie told you. So one thing I'm going to say is I really want you to start investing into yourself. Whether you get that job, you go to school, you pick up a trade, you pick up a skill, you do a CDLs. I don't care what you do. At the end of the day, just like there are seasons in the weather, there are seasons in life. There are ups and downs in all things. There's going to be points and times where you have every high, you got that promotion, you got that bonus, your vacation time got approved, the kids came, the kids ate, they all had everything, you got those good grades at school, you were able to travel the world. There's going to be those times where it is up, it is up, it is up. But the thing about seasons is everything that goes in rotation has to eventually come around. So what goes up must also come down. It's just the laws of gravity. The laws of gravity says that at some point there will be a down point. Now, don't be too stressed about the down point. That might be a loss of job. That might be your kids acting a fool. That might be you not passing that test. That might be a meeting in with the office with your boss at work. There's different things that can happen that can really get you down. And who knows that sometimes it feels like when you're down, they just keep knocking you down. It's a constant, oh, this happened, this happened, then something else happened. You might have had a loss into the family, but it's kind of these things where I don't want anybody to get too stuck in that downfall, because remember, everything that goes down has to also go up. So just like you went through those seasons, just like you just had, what is it that he said? One of my mentors told me, you're either coming out of a problem, going into a problem, or just got out of a problem. So if these are just the seasons, it's the best thing to do is just being able to know um how to really maneuver through life. We know it's happening. At the end of the day, we still want what we want. We still want to be able to increase our lifestyle. We still want to be able to go on that vacation, have that car, have that house, do what we want when we want. At the end of the day, it's some of us that even as kids, we said, I can't wait till I grow up. I can do what I want when I want. And then some of those people also saw that when we grew up, that wasn't necessarily true. When we grew up, it's not that we couldn't do what we wanted to do, it's that we could do what we could afford to do. We could do what we had time to do. We could do what we can get time off for, a babysitter for, we could get the money for, is really what it all came down to. But here's the thing about life. At no point in time are you ever no, I'm not gonna say ever, because there are some people who do give up on their dreams. I'm gonna tell you right now, any dream or anything that was ever given to you, if you had an idea that you were going to do something and it was gonna be great, that is your vision for your mission in life, and you have the ability to do it. You can talk to other people about it, but they're not going to understand because that vision was not given to them, it was given to you. So Zig Ziglar is one of my new favorite motivational speakers, but what he said is, when obstacles arise, you change your direction to reach your goal. You don't change your decision to get there. If buying a house is your thing, That means you're still going to get a house. There may be obstacles that come along, but you have to just be able to pivot, to move those directions, to really humble yourself and be able to hustle towards your goals in order to get you there. Because at the end of the day, we all want what we want. And when we really want something, there is nothing on heaven or hell that is able to go ahead and stop us from reaching that goal. Because when it comes down to it, it really is just a difference in philosophy. You either feel like you can do it or you feel like you can't do it. You either feel like you can learn something new, you can apply new skills, you can create that lifestyle that you want, or life is what others give you. You have different excuses. And not saying life don't be life and there's not things that come up. But like I said, you either believe in yourself that you can do it or you believe in yourself that you can't do it. 95, and the sad part of the reality is that 95% of the population lives paycheck to paycheck. 80% of the population has their W-2 form filled out incorrectly. These are the mass majority of the day-to-day people like me and you that are able to really just go ahead and continue this rat race through society. And who can agree that as an adult in 2024, the stuff they told us just doesn't work. It just wasn't the go to school, get those good grades, graduate with honors, get that great corporate job, because there's people in corporate America that are still struggling. There are people who have those jobs who are still struggling. There are people who are entrepreneurs who are still struggling. There are people all over who are still going through issues. And just because you have more money or a higher paycheck does not mean that you cannot become check to check if you haven't learned the right tools to be able to be financially independent like that other 5%, to be able to leverage your income and create the lifestyle that you want. So what is the real problem in America that we really have to just address? Like, yes, we can go through all these different things, global warming, healthcare, education, all these things. But the only way to fix every single one of those problems is to put more money into the Americans' pocket. Period, point blank. Most people, plain and simple, just give away way too much of their money to the point where now they're caught up in this system to the point where it's 10 times harder to be able to get ahead. So excuse me, when it comes to kind of living in the world, most times we are taught to become an employee. We are taught to go to school to get that degree in order to be able to maintain that career choice that we decided to do. Some of us, we went to school, and that us going to school was so big for our families that even if we decided that we didn't like that career field, we still had to finish that school to be able to become the employee, to become somebody, or to be the version of successful that other people said that that's what successful was. But you know what it means to be the public version of successful? The public version of successful means that you are now taxed 30%. When you are taxed 30%, this is now 30% of your income that you're now giving away to other entities that could be going into your pocket. And even if it's not the whole 30%, who can agree that even just some of that 20% or 30% is still going to be worth it? Then some people say, okay, well, I just don't want to work for nobody. I want to make my own hours. I want to see what this whole leverage thing is about. Let me go ahead and go get those tax deductions, because they say that if you go ahead and get a home-based business, if you go ahead and start a business, the government loves businesses. That's why they give them so many deductions. So by doing that, now you just get taxed 20%. 20% is less than 30%, but that still is a lot of money that people are throwing away in taxes. And now just imagine saying that you made $3 million in a year, or you netted this to a company, but your money that you got back that you are now taxed on is only 6 figures. From that 180K, now that is now taxed 20%. You still got medical care, you still got tuition, you still got education. If you don't have the tuition of your next generations, some of us still have student loans that we're still paying. And it's just so many things that even though that 20% is less than 30%, it's still just too much to be writing 6 figures off in taxes to someone else. So then some people say, hey, how about we get into real estate? How about we do these other things to be able to not only leverage our money, but leverage our time? So your landlords out there, your people who are really into, maybe this is the stock market, maybe these are just different investment strategies. They have found a way to become taxed only 15%. Okay, cool. Definitely have them the employee. But the thing about an investor is it takes money in order to make money. So unless you were already put into a wealthy situation where you already had some money to be able to invest, it seems like that 15% is just too far stretch. So some people were able to say, you know what? 30%, 20%, 15%, all of that, you just doing too much. And by saying that you're doing too much, they said, hey, how about we have a trust fund? How about we have trustees? How about we learn how to protect our money, protect our assets, protect ourselves so that we're not taxed as much? And in fact, we're only taxed about 5%. Being taxed in general is going to cause debt because any money that's not going into your pocket, that's going to somewhere else, is money that you can't use, but somebody else used you to get. So now, let me talk to you in your eyes for a second. So now let's talk about how to go ahead and get ahead. So when it comes to getting ahead, some people will say, okay, go ahead and get another job, go ahead and get a business, go ahead and DoorDash, go and do all these different things to get ahead. You can save pennies. I've heard this lady, she was trying to save on her energy bill. And do you know this woman said, in order for me to get my energy bill down to $40 per month without energy assistance or anything like that, what I had to do was unplug my lights when they were not being, when they were not using, unplug my refrigerator, unplug the stove, unplug the clocks. Like it used to be this show with Bernie Mac, and he used to be like, you can't tell time when you sleep, or it was Everybody Hates Chris, one of those two movies, but it was hilarious because I'm like, you unplugged the refrigerator? Like you ain't got food in there? But no, on top of all of this, she went downstairs to then turn off the breaker so that there was literally no energy being used in her house. Now, I'm not saying that's not a very efficient way to go ahead and save on your energy costs, but what if you didn't have to do that? What if it could be cold outside and you can turn on the heat and you weren't tripping when the bill came? What if you had the ability to take several baths and you weren't worried about the water bill? What if you were able to keep the roof over your head and you weren't worried about having to pay rent or food? You weren't stressing about being able to pay for supplies and your business expenses and childcare expenses and diapers and whatever else. So when it comes to getting ahead, you can hear things from all different ways, but let me show you something that works. When it comes to something that works, I was able to team up with a team called Make Wealth Real Financial. Make Wealth Real Financial was really the game changer of how to not only get ahead, but how to be able to use their membership in order to impact my lifestyle, where now I can build my legacy, live my legacy, and leave my legacy behind. How they were able to do things like reduce my taxes. As a business owner, I'm gonna tell you right now, I don't care about how many 475 tax deductions you can get when you have to write a six-figure tax check to the government, not like a refund that you get it back. It's a way that you have to learn how to reduce those taxes. You have to learn how to do it effectively, and not only effectively, but be able to get that Schedule C filled out, be able to have a tracking system. If you are a business owner and you do not have a tracking system, believe me when I tell you the IRS will come for you. They will audit you and they will charge you well more than what you, well, I'm not going to say they charge you more than what they owe, but the thing about the IRS is when they send you a bill, it's not really that much arguing unless you now have the money for an attorney to even go ahead and do that. So instead of getting into all of that debacle, why don't you just go ahead and get the resources you need to get those taxes down? Say you are a regular W-2 employee. Say you work, you do your overtime, you do everything you can. You can get an instant pay raise too, just by making a few switches with our experts. Now, this is not you having to go to your HR department and asking for a raise. It's not having you have to do a performance report. It's not having you have to change jobs or quit your job or anything like that. It's about doing things that should be done, but school does not teach us. When's the last time in school they taught you how to fill out a W-2 form? When's the last time you went to a job, or I'm not going to say it for everybody, for me, when I started my job and they hand me this packet of paperwork, I had no idea what that was. But I knew I had to fill out the paperwork in order to get the job. This is why, no, and not, let me back up. They handed me the piece of papers to fill out. And then I said, hey, I don't understand this. Help me figure it out. And the lady said, hey, I can't help you with that. You figure it out. So if this is the education that is given to everybody out there to be able to say, this is what you're supposed to do. We can't tell you how to do it. Just fill out the paperwork. This is why 80% of the population now has this form filled out incorrectly. So this may or may not apply to you, but if you are part of that 80%, I need you to get your money back, boo-boo. Because when you get your money back, you can lower your bills. Not only by paying them, but we have experts that go to bat for you to say, hey, this is not cool. Let's lower this bill. And there's nothing like you not having to be on hold for 2 hours, come up with some story of why they need to lower your bills because the fees and stuff are ridiculous. We got people who do that for us because we got to focus on our money making activity. 2024, we really trying to go into our growth year. We really trying to go to that next step in life, and we can't be focusing on things like the cable bill, the phone bill, the home security bill. We need our experts to go ahead and take care of that because the wealthy do. So if the wealthy do it, why can't you? And it's not because you can't afford it, because believe me, you can. You just have to know where it is. Because when we can reduce our taxes, get more money coming back into our pockets, lower those bills, and now we got more money in abundance, we can go ahead and knock out that debt. When we eliminate that debt and don't owe nobody nothing, guess what? That credit score goes up. No need for you to go ahead and pay somebody to tell you how to fix your credit. I'm going to tell you how to do it right now. You get more money coming in, you reduce your expenses coming out, you take out all that back debt that you owe somebody else, you restore your credit, and you use your credit in order to get good debt. Not bad debt, good debt. Bad debt, that Rent-A-Center, those store cards, them credit cards with those interest rates over 5%, 10%, 15%, 20%, 30%, all of that, bad debt. Good debt, real estate, assets. I don't care if you go buy art. Go buy something that is going to appreciate and value, and that is how you're going to get ahead. So now, Steph, yeah, that's great, but now I got to be a stock expert. Now I got to go find where's the right land. Now I got to go do X, Y, Z. No, you don't. The benefit about the membership is they already thought about all of that. They did it all for you. Now, here's one thing about me. I have been that type of person that reads everything, wants to know everything, done researched everything, went to the library, went all through Google. I did everything to do all the research, and all that time, effort, and energy I spent, I was able to find certain things. But what I wasn't able to do is get my time back. So instead of you going ahead and doing all that stuff, and not saying you can't do your own research, because best believe we are credit, best believe we do got all of our ducks in a line, best believe we are debt free, best believe we are in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. But not only are we able to go ahead and get those things right, but we're able to get people on that right step going forward to be able to have those premium wealth resources. Some people are dreaming to get a home right now, but they may not have good credit. They may not have the down payment. They may not know about the grants. They may not have a realtor. They may not even know what the steps are. We have a great program that's able to help you no matter what your credit score is, no matter what your situation is. We meet you where you are and we tell you how to get to that next step. We don't tell you that you can't get a house, because believe me, if your numbers are not right, your debt to income not right, your credit not right, your money not right, a bank will be real quick to give you a denial letter and say, oh, we're sorry, we can't approve this loan right now. Please try again later. What our company does is they say, hey, I know you may not be approved through regular financing right now, but if your only issue is credit, down payment, or bringing the money in to get the house, how about we put you on a plan and we work on that with you? How about we do something like rent to own? How about we have things like sweat equity down payments? How about we have things out there that can really help you get to that next step? Because it's not that we don't want a house or we can't put in the work to get that house. Sometimes we just don't know who to go through. And like we said before, there's that public information and that private information. You got the 95% of people doing this, but you got the select 5 of people doing this. Once you see somebody do it, that just means that you can do it too. So guess what? Chase, Wells Fargo, BMO, all these banks out there, they didn't just pop up one day. Like they weren't just forever there. They didn't come up like trees in air and the birds and the bees. What they did is they were developed and they decided to become their own bank. So what Make Wealth Real does is they're able to allow you to become your own bank through a diversified cash flow. And if you don't want to be your own, well, when you are your own bank, now you can provide your own mortgages. You can go ahead and buy your land. You can go ahead and use your money twice, because why not buy land in the path of growth? Some people want to be investors. They want to build their portfolio of those tenants, that 2-unit, 3-unit, 4-unit, quad unit, going up all the way to the 20s, those apartment styles. Some people don't want to deal with toilets and tenants. Some people don't want to deal with the wear and tear on the property, the taxes, stuff like that. That just goes into having a rental property on your portfolio. So buying land in the path of growth is some people's best bet, because guess what? Land's not just popping up. The land has to be assessed. It has to be growing in the path of wealth. It has to be able to be profitable. And the thing about land, most of it is going to be profitable no matter where it is, but some of it grows faster than others. You ever be driving down the street and you saw a development? Some places develop and some places don't. There's some places I've been driving to for the last 25 years of my life, and that has always been country road. But there are other places that I've driven and there are new strip malls. There are new commercial buildings. There's a whole new apartment complex. Like I'm over in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. There are certain places where if you drive by, you just like, oh, that's nice. That looks real nice. But if you old enough, you know what it used to look like. Westlawn, you know what it used to look like. You know what these things used to look like. But what it was is people bought land in the path of growth. And now they're capitalizing on those profits. And instead of them doing it, why not it be you? Why not be able to put your 401k or your retirement fund into a structured account to be able to never lose any money outside of the 401ks that are on the stock market, that once they go up, they're up, but once they go down, they're down. So many people lost money during COVID, and I'm just really hoping that you're going at least go ahead and tune into it. We got all types of different educational classes too, just on any of these services. If you want to learn more about it, just to be able to say, hey, I'm interested in this. I want to see how it works. I'm all down for not losing any money, but definitely check out these different things, because once you go ahead and get all of that together, say you go ahead and you bought that house, say you came up on some money for like an inheritance, say you just been working really hard, why not protect it? Say you got a lot of money in the bank, protect your assets, protect the things that you have. Things can be taken from you in an instant, and I'd rather you have it and be able to hold on to it than somebody do a snatch and grab and now it's just gone because of a lawsuit or because of it not being structured properly, back taxes, these other things that are kind of going on. But make sure it's in the right jurisdiction, make sure it is complex and not simple. Make sure that you really team up with our experts to really learn more about these things, because anything that you don't know, a lot of times people are penalized on just simply for not knowing. Hence the cycle that we're in. So say you're like, okay, cool, but I may owe taxes. I may need my taxes filled out. For instance, There's a lot of companies out there that are charging $300, $400, $500, $800 for taxes and business taxes. The membership is actually able to do your taxes for you. In addition to giving those business owners that automated mileage and expense tracking for your Schedule C. This is great, great, great for your tax and your accountant, just to be able to say, hey, these are things that I did, and not have to go through shoe boxes of receipts of what you did over that year. Some of them fade, some of them get lost, but it's a way to kind of do everything so you don't have to take that week off work to really try and get everything together. Really being able to build that credit. I don't care if your credit score is a 0.225. A credit score is not a tattoo. It is not permanent. It can always go up, but you have to be able to invest in yourself to be able to get to those next steps, because debt is not the road to wealth, but you can get out of debt and move into wealth as long as you work through some different experts that can work with your own situation. Your friend, homie, cousin, sister, brother, and them can't tell you nothing more than what position they're currently in with the background that they have. Yes, somebody in your, your sphere, your circle could have did something. But if that is not your same story, those rules aren't going to apply. That's why it's very, very important for you to set up these consultations and for you to sit down and talk about what it is that you want. Your friend may have been able to get a house because they got a $10,000 gift from their parents. That's why they can get a house and you couldn't. Maybe this person had some business debt in the past and they owe the IRS $40,000. That's why they couldn't go ahead and do this. Maybe some people just have some other issues. Like, life is life and people be people. And so might as well get with somebody who can work with you where you are, that works with the IRS, that works with these credit rebuilding companies, that works with these different legal helplines. Because, I mean, either A, you're going to pay your own mortgage, or you're going to pay somebody else's mortgage. That's just kind of the way that it works. The keys to ownership is going to definitely be a great thing for many people, but some people just don't feel like home ownership is for them. And that is perfectly fine. But if it is for you and you just don't know where to start, come talk to me so that we can learn how to really fire your landlord and really just build that equity for you and not that other person. But yeah, so many resources out there, so many things that are really just kind of going on in the world. And a lot of times we just don't know where they are or where to go to find them. Like I said, I did a lot of research beforehand. I did a lot of just really trying to figure out things, but it wasn't just, okay, is this a good thing? Is this actually going to work? I had to see some results. I had to straight up be like, you know what? What was your back history? What did you do before? And how can I get there? Or how does this relate to me? Can I see myself in this situation? Well, let me tell you about some people I met. I went down to Atlanta, Georgia, and we had a game changer event. And this game changer event, I was able to meet this gentleman named Gerald Parker. Gerald Parker is a gentleman who he worked all of his life, like just worked. You can never tell me that this man was not hardworking. But what it came up to is at one point in time, he just couldn't do it. There was no such thing as working anymore without him having to be to the hospital, because it's not that much energy in a person's body. Talk about being in debt, being able to just have all these different things. He lived in his car at one point in time. But now, being able to really go ahead and work with our experts, he was able to eliminate his debt by 6.5 years. He was able to retire from his job. He was able to pay off his car. Now, if anybody who has a car note knows how annoying a car note is. Everybody who does not have a car note knows how lovely not having a car note is. That's extra money put back into your pocket every month, because any money that's put back into your pocket, you can now reinvest in you. You can now eliminate those interest payments. You can now reduce those taxes. You can now raise your credit score. And then when you help other people do it, or you just say, hey, this is how I did it, And I want to help you too, because we're not in this dog eat dog world. We're not in this crabs in a barrel type world. Like, we have to come to a point in the world where we actually help the next person. We actually say, hey, I see you kind of going through it. Check this out and let me know if it works for you. If it doesn't, cool. If it does, and it is as a magnificent as this is. Did you know Gerald Parker makes $10,000 a month residually? This means that if he did choose to go to work, all of that extra money would just be extra money. How many people do you know out there wake up in the morning and say, hey, I just woke up and I got an extra $10,000 this month? For some people, they don't even make that in a year, because 10,000 times 12 is now 120,000. Now, yes, you still got taxes depending on what class he's in. However, some people go to school, they have their PhD, they do all these things just to get that. And this person wakes up just to be able to get to it. If I can go from living in my car to not only buying a house, but buying 2 houses and waking up to $10,000 a month residual, okay, I'm listening, you know? But then I was like, okay, well, one person is not enough to tell me. So I end up meeting this power couple. The power couple is Charles and Judith Ivory. Let me tell you about these people. They are the most energetic people I've ever known. Personalities just illuminate the room. But once upon a time, there was this thing called COVID, and COVID was COVIDing. And COVID decided to take some people off of their jobs. Some COVID decided to come in and really hurt the economic empowerment within families, to the point where Charles Ivory saw himself between a rock and a hard place and faced with an opportunity. The opportunity was Make Wealth Real Financial, where he was able to go from not having a job to having a business, and within his business, eliminate his debt by 95%. Be able to knock out all of his debt, be able to buy his land, be able to reduce his taxes by $1,400, lower his bills by $1,500. Now just think, if you lower your taxes by $1,400 and you lower your bills by $1,500 and you eliminate your debt and you eliminate 95% of your taxes, this is one of the trustees that I was telling you about, to be able to really be able to have more of that money back to your pocket every day, so you can do the things that you want to do. And for this magnificent couple, what they wanted to do is they wanted to build their 6,000 feet dream home. They have an attachment to this home. You know how Oprah came on and was like, oh, this is my house and this is my guest house? These are my Oprah friends. These are the ones that can really go ahead and show how being able to help others and have that kind heart, and being able to really just know what to do with your money, how you're able to go ahead and bring in $400 per day in residual income. This means I woke up, I did what I had to do, and at the end of the day, I still made $400. Think about all the people and all the work that people have had to do in order to go ahead and get that, versus this particular scenario with residual income, where now you're able to do something a couple times and be able to eat for a lifetime. It's not about how hard you work, because we all gonna go to work. It's about working smarter, because if you don't work smarter, you're gonna be in a bloody mess. And this bloody mess comes down to being able to really knocking out debt, eliminating everything, because the thing about debt, a lot of debt is associated with interest. Interest is the penalty you pay for the right to own something in advance that you cannot afford. Anything you put on a credit card, you didn't have that money in your pocket, so you put it on a credit card. That car loan you got, you didn't have the $14,000, $20,000, $30,000 to pay for that car, so you put it on finance. That house, you didn't have 400,000 in your back pocket, so you had to put it on financing. All of those things have a direct relation with interest. Interest is a penalty you pay for the right to own something in advance that you cannot afford. So let's talk about this credit card. The credit card says that you owe 5,000. You had some shopping sprees, you had Christmas, you had New Year's, you had that trip, you had whatever it is that you did that you spent $5,000 on. Okay, cool. And they say, we will let you spend this 5,000, but we need at least $100 a month. Okay, cool. Now, when you look at your actual statement on that bill, there's a nice little cubicle, yonder, right here. And in that cubicle, it gives you an interest rate. And the interest rate is a percentage, because if they told you a dollar amount, most people would not sign up for that process. However, they said 21%. Okay. At 21% interest over 12 months, that is a 1.75% rate that you're paying monthly. That is going to go towards that payment. So your interest payment is going to be that 0.0175 times the $5,000 balance, which gives you about $87.50 per month. Wait, I'm gonna go ahead and repeat that. Your interest payment, how to calculate that is you're going to take your interest rate. So when you pull up your credit cards, your statements, go ahead and look at your interest rate. You're going to divide that by 12. You're going to get a decimal. That's 1.75%. We want this. Divide this number by 100 so you can get the decimal. The decimal is that 0.0175. You had a total balance of 5,000. It looked little. It looked little, but catch it. $87.50 per month is just the interest payment. You still got a principal of 5,000. So if you were supposed to only pay $100 a month and you took out $87.50 in interest, this means you're only really putting $12.50 per month towards that card every month. So your reality is $12.50 payments per month. In order to pay off that 5,000 is about 120 payments. 120 payments divided by 12, because there's 12 months in a year. 10 years to pay off the 5,000 that for some spent in a weekend, a week, a month, 3 months. You now have a 10-year sentence in order to pay it. So let's talk about why banks do this. Because nobody wants to just give away money. I mean, just think, if you had $5,000 and you had a friend that said, hey, I need to borrow $5,000, you theoretically want your money back right away, right? Right. Now, if for whatever reason that person can't give it back right away, you start working up payment arrangements. Okay. So now it's every week when I get paid, I'm going to give you this. Every 2 weeks, I'm going to pay you and I'm going to do this. Okay. But now guess what? When you borrowed that person the money, you gave them a whole 5,000. You didn't give them $12.50 this week, $12.50 this week, $12.50 this week. The math just don't math. So what banks do, what these lenders do, is they say, hey, I'm going to charge you interest, which is a fee or a penalty for you to be able to use this money. So by them adding their fee, even though it sounds real little at 0.0175, what they really did is they found a way how to get 12 G's up off you. From that 12 G's, they gave you 5 and they came up on 7. So if every person who they gave a credit card to with a $5,000 limit, they knew that they were going to get back 7 to have out that 12, guess how many people would send out that, would make that agreement every time? If you were the credit card company, wouldn't you? So what is it that we all have in common? What we have in common is that we all know how to make money. Whether you are self-employed, you're an employee, you own a business, you are an entertainer, athlete, rapper, whatever you got going on, or you are already rich. We all know that money is what we use to pay for things, at least in America. But what we don't know is what those things should be directed towards outside of our own habits or our own wants, our own wants and needs. But I say needs with the leniency because sometimes we don't need it. We don't need it at all. It's just the fact that we could do it. So being able to have access to these wealth building resources like positive cash flow. How many people out there think that income and cash flow are the same thing? Income is how much money you bring in. Cash flow is how much money you have to your next check. How many people out there have negative cash flow? You don't have to raise your hand, but at least raise your eyebrow and say, ooh, let me go ahead and get some wealth building resources to go ahead and fix my cash flow so I can go from negative to positive. Some people think that multiple streams has to be multiple jobs. No, you don't have to have multiple jobs, multiple, going to school, doing all these different things. You just have to have multiple streams of money making activities working for you. You learn how to leverage income, leverage the money to be able to really grow those assets, to be able to accumulate different information from all over to build that generational wealth, but not only generate it, but protect it and then be able to educate ourselves, our families, our children, our cousins, friends, everybody. Just imagine if y'all no longer at a round table talking about people twerking and who bamboozled who stole what comic view, whatever. What if you weren't focused on all of that? And we actually focus more so on empowering ourselves to be able to get to that next level, to be able to have that freedom, to have those options and opportunities of things that we should be able to have in our, that should be our right. We should have a right to clean water. We shouldn't have to figure out how we're going to have a job to pay for clean water. We should be able to have a roof over our head. We shouldn't have to be stressing about how we can work 2 jobs and go to school in order to pay for that mortgage just so we can be outside of the bad neighborhood. It's not about working hard, it's about working smarter. Having that training and support around you to be able to have these experts train you on how to build your wealth, be able to go to these leadership retreats, go to our national conventions, go to our regional conventions, go to our Zooms. You do not have to travel. If you're that person, you're like, I don't want to go to California. I don't want to go to New York. I don't want to go to Florida. I don't want to travel and meet new people. Cool. You can sit at the comfort of your home and go through Zoom and different YouTube videos and things like that, just so we can go ahead and get you to open up your brain to in order to be that 6%, that 12%, that 25%, that 50%, that 100%. Do you remember Lucy? Limitless? Think about being able to really maximize how you think so that you can be more effective in the world. And not saying that people are silly or slow or anything like that. I'm not saying that by any means. I'm saying that it is a collective idea that people may not use as much of their brain power because some of those things were not given to them. Some children in their school systems, even right now, they are not allowed, or they are not granted different education processes. They may be taught reading, but not reading comprehension. They may learn math, but maybe not arithmetic. They may learn how to color, but they may not learn how to shade or build. They may learn how to, they may learn that cars go fast, but they may not actually learn how to become an architect or an actual photographer. They might not actually learn these different things, but just like anybody else, when you get a job, you go through training. When you want to go to school and learn something new, you go through this training. Same things apply. You have to learn something new in order to get a different result. If not, you're going to be doing the exact same thing. Because why not be able to create a debt-free lifestyle? The time is going to pass anyway. The process is going to be the process, no matter if you choose to do it today or tomorrow, next week, or next year. The bottom line is, as adults, some things just have to be able to get done. So we would love for you guys to be able to be like Mr. Brown Bean and get international property. We would love for you to be able to secure land, be able to lower bills, and have that residual income just like many of the others. But we all know you have to start somewhere. Your dreams may not be that big. You may not want to get any property overseas. You may not even be thinking about a property right now. You may be trying to just think of how to get out of the water. And that's all fine too. We meet you where you are, because we want to be able to share your story along with all the others, just to be able to say, hey, I went from survival to stable, then stable to successful. And in that successful abundance, being able to do the things that you want to do, all while protecting those things. So If you would like to know more information, if you would like to know about when our next Zoom is, to not only learn about how to get rid of the bloody mess, but how to go into our rule of 72, be sure to text BMESS to Stephanie at 414-335-9721. You can always scan the QR code too. And that way you can go ahead and get my website. Me and Absidy say thank you and have a good night. Say bye-bye. See you next time. Bye-bye, Grandma. Bye. Do you realize you